true.
But so tell me about you're working for a company that it does fulfillment and things for in the travel industry for a different company. Tell me about it.
Yeah. So the company's called Arivia, but we're like the largest travel company you've never heard of.
Okay.
I mean, that's one easy way to break it down. So we're kind of like a white label solution. So we have clients, or we call partners, that represent our big companies. Mm-hmm. But we are like a benefit for those big companies. So for example, we have we work with USAA, and with USAA, people can basically purchase cruises, hotels, car rentals, flights through our platform. Mm-hmm. And because it's they're a USAA member, they actually get additional savings that they would not get anywhere else. So they can literally find the exact same hotel on Expedia.com or Hotels.com. Same hotel, same night, same room, everything's exactly the same, but they're going to save like 30% off of what that market rate is.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's a benefit that the USAA members have,
right?
And any of our partners, they have access to those types of travel benefits.
So I get like different benefits from my credit card, right? And mm-hmm. that would be like the type of company who would be your client or your partner. Or,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like we work with American Express, for example. So we sell cruises for the American Express audience. So anytime an American Express card holder wants to get a hold of American Express cruises and they want to book the cruise, they go right through us.
And so you're managing a lot of the email marketing and things like that, mm-hmm. correct?
Yep.
So when you're marketing to your customers, so if I'm a Chase Sapphire card holder, right?
All right.
Then I'm not receiving emails from. I mean, I am receiving emails from you, but it looks like it's from
correct
Sapphire, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's the way the emails are working basically is we market as that brand. So whatever brand they're a part of, we are representing them.
Okay.
And there might be like slight things in the logo or little things that are kind of make it a little bit different than the Premier Icon logo.
Sure.
But it looks very much like that company.
And you mentioned you're using Marketo to manage that, right?
Yeah,
primarily.
Yeah.
So how do you keep all that separate? I mean, we've both been in the marketing automation space before. That's not an easy task.
No, it's not. It's not. I mean, I could go very detailed. I don't know how detailed you want to go, but I'll try to keep it kind of high level. But basically, we use a CRM system, and that CRM system basically defines the partner, right? So whoever that partner is, it has criteria that we read, and we ingest that information into Marketo, and we know that, okay, they're part of this partner. Mm-hmm. And because they're part of this partner, send emails to these people that are part of that partner.
Right.
So that's a very simplified way of kind of explaining how we keep everyone separate.
Okay. And trying to think how to word this. So are you doing your segmentation and things inside of the CRM, or are you doing that inside of the automation system, the marketing automation system, or how are you running that?
Yeah, so it's probably broken into a couple of different ways. So the CRM has segmentation kind of a part of it because it just defines the basic rules. Mm-hmm. But then inside Marketo, for example, we set up the majority of the segmentation inside there to do the actual marketing. So we have a ton of automation running, personalization that's operating, and it's all based on a number of different things. It's based on like the data coming from the CRM system, but then it's also based on the activities that those people are taking too, whether that's on email or it's on the website or it's through other types of marketing channels. Mm-hmm. It will then take that information, and we have things set up to feed off that and then respond off of that so that we're able to send really timely, relevant, and personalized messages.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. And you've been in the email marketing space for a long time. So as long as I've known you.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are some of the biggest mistakes that you see others making in their email marketing?
Yeah, I think it all depends on the level of the business, I would say. So, if you go broad, like we'll just like define it to say three groupings. Like one group would be kind of a small business, right? So small business, meaning like less than 10 employees or something
Yeah,
like that. Right?
yeah.
We'll just say that. In that case, it's normally like one of the big mistakes that they're making is not being consistent or not setting up enough automation
Sure.
to effectively communicate to prospects, potential leads, or potential customers. That's one part of it. And then when you get to like a more like a medium-sized business, let's say that I don't know, 500 employees.
Right.
That's a big jump.
Yeah,
But we'll go with that one.
That's a large business.
Yeah, and in that case, the big problem is trying to actually a big mistake they make is not necessarily having the ability to really map out effective strategies that personalize how they communicate to their marketing base.
Okay.
So they don't sit down and necessarily say, okay, we're gonna, and some companies do, which I'm not saying it's all do this, but it's a mistake that I would definitely see is where you'll have, different ways that you're getting a lead into the business. So let's say they come from a paid advertising campaign. You probably should market to them in a very different way than you would to somebody who came into your site like just through organic.
Yeah.
Right.
A little softer, a little more educational,
It's different.
building credibility
It's different.
still, and stuff like that.
And that's how you kind of differentiate. And then when you get to like larger businesses, like, not to say that Arivia is that large. We're kind of like mid-market. We're not like a huge, massive company, but we've got, almost 3,000 employees and, lots and lots and lots of contacts in our system. But for us, it's actually like trying to figure out how to scale better.
Right.
Like how can we send more and scale? And most companies that get to that level, they have a harder time of scaling. And that's probably like the mistake is they're just spinning their wheels on how to do something, and then they do it again, and then they do it again, and then they do it again, rather than trying to figure out like, okay, how do I take this thing that we're doing over and over and over and over again, make it more efficient, more effective, but less time and effort put into it so that we can actually scale growth.
Right.
Regarding how they're emailing or sending their messages out, or even getting to a place of really generating like good personalized content.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. And so when it comes to personalization, now, if you're marketing for other companies, like how personal can you get, especially when you're doing that many brands and stuff like that?
Yeah, you can. It depends on your creativity. That's really what it comes down to, on how creative you can get. You can be highly technical, but you have to also be very creative, right? So, in our case, we represent almost 1,000 brands, right? But what ends up happening is the marketer builds the email one time. That's it. One time they build this email that goes out to almost 1,000 brands. They schedule it, send it. And I'm just talking about just a regular one-time send broadcast type of email.
And it's going out on behalf of
It's going out on behalf of 1,000
to
different brands, right?
hundreds of thousands potentially of contacts, right?
Yeah, so everything's it's personalized to one level in there. So it's personalized based on the logo changes, the URLs change, and the colors change. Like, it's very personalized in that regard. And then we take it to a whole new level in different areas of the email, depending on the what we're trying to achieve in that email. So, for example, we have some cruise automation emails that we send out because we're in the travel niche. And what will end up happening is, we're behind them. Like, everyone's behind like this closed user group is what we call it. Like, it's a membership based type of business. And because you're a member, we kind of know a lot about you. That's one of our advantages, right? We know kind of where you live. We know your phone number. Like, we have this information that we know about the members because they're a member.
Yeah.
And based on that, we can then say, okay, if they live in this region of, say, the United States, so they live in the southeast region of the United States, which is like, Florida, Georgia, et cetera, let's show content based on their last cruise search, right? That would kind of show them like, either hotels that are in that region specifically, or even cruise departure ports that are in that region specifically.
Okay.
So we get personal in that level. And then in addition to that, one of the things we're in the process of building now is how do we actually personalize more of the content based on what we know about them.
Sure.
So, for example, one of those things would be like, how do we get it to where if they recently booked a flight, and when they book that flight, we know that they have children, and say that it doesn't normally live in our data because we don't really know any of that, but because they booked a flight with a a couple of kids, we know that they have children now.
Sure.
So then how do we then take that cruise offering or that hotel offering, whatever it may be, and kind of like take an image in the email and kind of like make it kind of like family or friendly.
Okay.
Instead of it being like older people
That makes sense.
or something like
Yeah.
that. Right.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So that's one of the ways. And then we have, so that's like the content of the email. But then it's also based on like, when we personalize things, it's based on activities that they take.
Sure.
So the real simple one that most people are aware of is going to be, like an abandoned cart, right? So they abandon the cart, trigger that email. That's fantastic. It's a great way to get started. We do that a lot. But we also have abandoned searches. And then what we end up doing is that because we know that they searched or they were looking or they're interested in this type of product, we then follow up with other incentives to allow them to buy from us more. That gives them it's very beneficial for them and it's beneficial for us.
Yeah.
So we'll follow up with some membership messaging around, because we know the level of membership that they have. So we know that they're upgraded or they're not upgraded, for example. And then we were able to then tailor the follow-up messages based on their searches around the membership upgrade. Like, hey, because you're not an upgraded member, you're missing out on this benefit, this benefit, this benefit. You could be saving even more.
Right.
And so that's just another level of trying to personalize that content for them.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. And so before this, we were talking a little bit about some of the changes and things that you made, both leading in, so right before COVID and during it, that helped you guys kind of come out strong.
Yeah.
Especially for the travel industry. I mean, number of people who were absolutely destroyed by COVID.
Yeah.
In that business is astronomical, I'm sure. But so tell me about that. What did you guys do there?
Yeah, so we, thankfully prior to COVID, we were already in the process of trying to figure out how to scale what we were doing in the marketing team, the marketing department, in our marketing system, so that we could essentially get to this place where the marketer could create one email that would be dynamic and personalized for that unique person. So the logos would change and the links would change. Before, the marketer would literally have to take the email, they would clone or copy it, right? And then they'd swap out
Like
the
the
logo
stuff you and I
manually.
used to have to do.
Exactly. They'd swap it all out manually. And I mean, just think about doing that over 1,000 brands. Like, it's just huge amount of work. So we started building this process. We actually finished pretty much all of it in like February of 2020.
Jeez, you got lucky.
We did.
Right?
We had a good like beta version out the year prior, and then we really fine tuned it, and then we were able to scale it for all of our products and everything right there in February 2020. So then, as a result, what ended up happening is we had a reduction in staff, obviously, because in the travel industry we were hit really hard. Well, then we took that time because we were amazing enough still selling travel memberships during that time, because everyone, like, it's almost like travel was stolen from them.
And so everyone wanted to jump on it as soon as they could.
Yeah, or it was kind of like, okay, I know this isn't going to last forever. Like, everyone was seemed to be very confident. It's not going to last forever. So I'm gonna buy now with knowing that whenever I'm ready to travel, I'm gonna have amazing savings at that point in time. So they're kind of like investing in the future, almost, for their travel. So then we took that first year, 2020, and we really like honed in on trying to scale what we were doing regarding our marketing campaigns. So we built in a lot of segmentation. That's where we were like, okay, well, what are things we can do to help personalize content better, right? Because we know that travel is going to come back. We knew that the people would start buying again. So when they start buying, how can we be even better whenever they start? And so then we started thinking about like, what are opportunities we have to automate? What are opportunities we have to personalize? And so we started just planning those out. So we're like, okay, let's break the Canada and the United States and Latin America and break them out into regions. And then we'll figure out ways to like automate messaging based on the region they live in, right? Because we know that information. And so we came up with strategies around that. We came up with other strategies to expand our membership marketing. So like we're a big call center, right? So we have a lot of calls. We drive inbound calls. It's a big part of our business.
Sure.
Most people,
That makes sense.
they'll buy cruises online,
Yeah.
but they typically want to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, we said, well, how can we take the membership side of the business and even further expand on our automation regarding that? So then we started thinking of ideas of trying to, look at each individual campaign and automation that we had in place. What are we missing? What can we modify?
Sure.
How can we make this better? And so we just took the time to really analyze what we're doing, and then we had lots of learnings and built new things, and we're able to then build all that during that time. And then now, to give you kind of a little bit of history about the company, we actually had one of our largest partners in 2019. They decided to go their own way, right? So we parted ways, amicable, but a large partner of ours changed our company in many, many ways. But the thing is that 2019 ended up becoming like the postmark child. Like, we were crushing records. We were just breaking every record in 2019.
Okay.
And then obviously 2020 happened and totally changed the whole dynamic.
Sure.
And so now we kind of use that as the measuring stick, right? Well, this year in 2023, because of all the work we did in 2020 and 2021, travel started picking back up in 2022. But now in 2023, we are breaking the records that we set back in 2019 without that partner.
Without that big partner. Okay.
Exactly.
Very
So
cool.
it's been huge for the company.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you hear people say that email marketing's dead, right? That that's not effective anymore. What's your opinion on that?
I'd say it's not dead. 'Cause people
Definitely
still check.
not. Yeah.
People still check email every day.
Yeah.
It's still alive and still thriving. It's just different.
The strategies are different.
It is. Its strategies are different. And it depends on the business and what you're trying to apply. But I mean, the reality is there's a big difference between, say, just a follower on social media versus somebody who actually subscribes to your email
Well, yeah,
list. Right?
completely different.
Big
right?
big difference there. And just that difference, email, you can sell. You can really sell through email. Selling on social media does work. I've seen people do it very successfully, but it's also kind of just a very broad-based, untargeted. You have to have a really highly engaged audience to sell from social media.
Yeah.
And you can't do it too much. But email, people will sit there and they'll sell something every single day in email.
Yeah, I always so when I bring on social media clients a lot on that topic, a lot of the time they want to be real pushy, right? They think that, hey, I'm just going to post a bunch of sales stuff and people will buy it, and obviously no one's interested in that. Mm-hmm. And so I always advise them, at most it should be 5%. Conversion pieces should be 5% of everything that you're posting. Other than that, it needs to be, it needs to provide value.
Yeah.
Either entertaining, educational, or inspirational.
Yeah, that's it.
One of the three. If you can hit two of them, even better.
Yeah.
But that's. I think that's always funny when you see these brands and all they're doing is just trying to sell.
Yeah, I think they would struggle if they sell too much on social, especially.
Well, they're never going to grow.
Yeah, they're not, because people will get turned off on it. But it's fascinating though. If you can inspire, educate, and entertain them, and then you say, hey, by the way, I've got this email newsletter. You just keep it simple. You don't have to have anything special. You can create a lead magnet or whatever. But even if you just have that, as soon as they get on that newsletter list, you then can start selling them something.
Yeah.
And they will buy.
Yeah. It definitely works. There's no doubt about that. I mean, we've both seen success in the past with different email campaigns. I don't do as much of that now, but that's just because my company here doesn't have the size database that of what we were working with in the past. Yeah. So talk to me about what you are you guys doing anything on social? What does that look like? What?
Yeah. So social is probably our weakest link right now in the company, because the hard part is that when we operate for our partners and we're a white label solution, they typically have their own social channels that they manage. We do have some brands that we own 100%, but also we have brands that we share.
Sure.
And so that's actually the place that we're looking at, this year, next year, is opportunities for potential growth and potential ways of trying to figure out how we set that system up and make it work. because I see advantages to it that we're not leveraging is the fact that we can connect more with our members in a unique way that's not sales related typically.
It's super passive.
It is. It's super passive.
That's what's awesome.
It's just putting in the system and putting in the ability to create the content,
Yeah.
distribute the content, place the content, and then engage with the content.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's kind of the pieces that we're kind of missing right now, but we have to kind of figure out like what that looks like. So that's something we're exploring, but we have some things that are up and running. You know, we typically tend to focus. I'm thinking of one brand in particular right now. We'll focus on lots of customer stories. So the brand will focus on basically sharing a lot of customer stories.
Well, I think for travel, that's super effective.
It
right?
is. It is super effective.
Who doesn't want to see pictures of a tropical vacation if you're interested in tropical vacations?
That's exactly it.
That's it makes sense, right?
Yeah. One thing is interesting too is we had a team that back in, I can't remember the exact year. It was prior to 2019 though, 2018 or so. And we still own this brand to this day. It's called Must Do Travels.
Okay.
And it's actually one of the largest travel social media pages on Facebook. I think it's number one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
It's massive. And the guys who started it, you know, they did a phenomenal job on getting content, doing a lot of user generated content, working with influencers, getting permissions, like all kinds of stuff to make that happen. I think the hardest thing though is that we had a hard time trying to actually convert all of the traffic and all of the attention into sales. That was like one of the things that we struggle with.
Right.
And so that's where I think we as a company, we have to figure out like, how do we take that attention and then turn it into some type of revenue stream?
Right.
And that's been probably the biggest part that we've been trying to figure out is how to make that happen.
You pump out a sales video as soon as you have another one pop. That's
It can be that way. It's just, I think, you know, I think whenever somebody sees a video and the videos gets like 1 million views, right? And they're like, well, why didn't we get 1,000 sales?
Yeah, well, that's the funnel that you got to work out.
That's
there,
exactly it. It's like, well, it doesn't work that way. But there's mindsets and there's ways of just trying to change how social works. Because measuring social is also the challenge we have too. It's like, how do we measure effectiveness of social media?
Right.
I think there's ways we can do it. But it's not like, like a paid ad. You track the whole thing.
It's not.
Right?
It's not
but
at
even,
all.
Even paid ads are broken, right? Somebody can click on your paid ad and then, they do other things. And none of that's necessarily getting tracked. But then eventually they can buy.
Well, it all depends on what the call to action is from the ad too.
Yeah, very true.
If it's something like purchasing, or is it just to sign up for the email list?
Yep.
That's
exactly it.
That's the how high is the barrier of entry?
Yeah.
On whatever you're going to do there. So.
Yeah.
No, it's funny. Yeah, I personally, I would consider I'm trying to think of some actual numbers. So if I get 30,000 views on something, okay, if I got 10 leads from that, it'd be a massive success, right? And that's just leads, not even, someone who might want to have a conversation with me.
Yep.
It's not a direct purchase. Though I do think if they come through organic social, the trust level is a lot higher than with an ad.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Much less skeptical.
Yeah, because we've seen that. We have a brand of ours that it drives a lot of organic traffic. It's one of our homegrown brands, basically. So it's not like a partner relationship. But in this one, we see that whenever people come to the site, either directly or through an organic search term,
right?
And then they sign up, they typically convert much higher. So they will book a hotel within like 30 days, versus somebody who came in through a paid media channel.
Right.
They can take a little bit longer to warm up. We have people that do convert too. Not so that doesn't happen, but it's very different, like the lifetime value of those sources of traffic and how they sign up.
Well, and it's interesting so one thing that's been interesting to me as well is the getting continuous engagement from people too, right? So I find that I'll get spikes of followers, or when one piece of content does particularly well, everything spikes, and usually then you're getting a lot of engagement on a lot of different videos and a lot of different things. but then it comes down too, right? You don't have that. I almost want to call it loyalty, but it's like loyalty of engagement. You don't have that forever just because they're loyal to you. You know, they're engaging with you once. I think there's a lifespan on kind of when they their interests move on.
Yeah.
You know, just like anything. I mean, I go through spurts of where I really follow certain creators, and then I get kind of bored with them and move on to other things, and then maybe I'll circle back later on. But it's understanding that and balancing that as a marketer is something that's always interesting and frustrating for me. But yeah. So where do you see things going in the email / digital marketing world? If you were looking at your crystal ball, where do you see things going?
Yeah, so I think AI is going to change things in many, many ways. It already is.
Already is. Yeah.
One of the things I think that's a big difference is the fact that it's not that it's necessarily going to like end everything or destroy everything. I think it's one of the analogies that I like to use is like when the car was first invented, right? It actually created a completely new industry of work, right? Before then, everyone was on horse and buggies for centuries, thousands of years people were using horse and buggies. That's what they're using. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, it's this motorized vehicle that just goes. You put gasoline in it, it just moves. That's amazing. You just steer it.
Yeah.
You don't have to feed a horse. You don't have to stable a horse. You don't have to worry about any of that. But then what ended up happening is it spun off new business.
Yeah.
So now it came into people had to actually make tires. People had to repair tires. People had to know how to repair engines. People had to design bumpers. People would create better seats or better seat belts or create seat belts because they didn't exist when they first came out, right? So it created like all these different spin-offs and new opportunities for companies. So like I think through innovation, it spurs commerce and it drives growth and it creates society to thrive. But the thing is that you have to think about something new in a new way and treat it differently than you've treated other things.
Yeah.
So with AI and the way it's going to work with digital media is it turns into an assistant helper where a lot of like maybe repetitive tasks that were harder to do or had to be outsourced or considered maybe lower level employee type of things potentially they can be handled by AI, and then you can create new ways of taking that packaging or that capability and then spur and build different digital media capabilities.
I saw something that was interesting where they were talking about how prior to the tractor, something like 85% of Americans were working in the farming industry, right? And the tractor eliminated 99% of those jobs.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
But we don't look at the tractor as being an economy killer.
Yeah.
It was kind of
was.
But I look at AI kind of the same way, in that like it's something that can make your life a lot easier. But I also see it as being something that's kind of leveling up a lot of things, a lot of what people have done, because you can make that tool, ChatGPT or these different tools, do something that would normally be kind of a skilled job. You think about writing a conversion email or doing, and so everyone's emails, for example, everyone's landing pages, everyone's things should level up because now you have this tool to get you 90% of where you need to go.
Exactly.
And then it's a matter of customizing it and doing other things that are going to enhance conversion and make things better.
It also bridges like knowledge gaps too.
Yeah.
So like, for example, I've got people on my team that are experimenting with ChatGPT. And one of the things in Marketo is you have these, I can't remember what they're called now off the top of my head, email script token. So what that is like a typical merge field in an email would be like first name, last name, right?
Right.
You actually, in Marketo, you can actually create a script. Like it's basically this own unique code. It's written and called Apache. And you can create this whole script that will actually analyze data coming into your email and then generate a result in that merge field. So like,
oh, that's cool.
It can do like math equations as a simple way, right?
Sure.
So you can do things like that, but then you can get really like creative. And so I've got people on my team who are like, I don't know how to write this code.
Yeah.
They go into ChatGPT and they ask it and they work with it and it creates the code for them.
Yeah.
And they just have the code there. And then now they have 95% of the code's written, and now they can just tweak and edit it in a way that allows them to not have to go out and wait for a developer to build it for us, right? So they can do it on their own. And then they can just, because they kind of know HTML, they know CSS, and they could say, oh, well, this must do this. And then they just put the pieces together, and now they've got that token is created without using an extra resource or wasting way more time.
Right.
So
right.
it's just going to be a huge time saver in many, many ways.
Now, are you using it at all for copy for your email marketing?
Yeah.
messages?
So I don't necessarily write copy.
Well, yeah.
Per se, but the team is very aware of it, and there are marketers who are trying to leverage and use it. And I think many of them, what they end up doing, instead of staring at like a blank page, or they're like, okay, I know I need to promote this cruise line in this email. So then they'll kind of like take that simplified prompt, put it in ChatGPT. It gives them something to start with, and now they can start editing it. And then instead of starting from scratch, they've got something to work with.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I use it is just to get me started.
Yep.
You know, sometimes getting those first couple sentences, those initial bullet points, those whatever that first structure that now you can edit and you can break things up and change them, to be the message that you want it to be. But to get to that point first is kind of frustrating and somewhat daunting, right?
It can be.
For me, anyways, when I got a million other things I'm trying to think of, and employees calling me and doing, everything, I can put it in there, get it, get enough, just copy and paste that now onto a Google Doc, and okay, now I can start working with this, and it's kind of giving me ideas.
Yeah, it does. I think the other thing too that is going to change is the way we interact with the tool itself, whatever the AI tool may be. So, like for example, right now we have pre-built content that's then triggered, and then there's certain parts of the content in the email that gets personalized for that person. And so imagine the fact that, we'll keep it simple. Like there's an abandoned cart for Carnival Cruise Lines, right? With a Bahamas destination. So we know that information about that person. They abandoned the cart. Well, what ends up happening is we then have a preset template that will pull in the dynamic elements. So it'll pull in Bahamas, it'll pull in the Carnival, messaging there, or that specific thing, and then send the email out. However, there's ways that I think we'll get to a point where we can take ChatGPT, it can go through ChatGPT, and then it can basically suggest different prompts and write prompts within the email, or there's a guideline where we can take that then, instead of us kind of planning everything, it's more like prompt instructional ways of like, okay, present this email in this way to this person.
Right.
And so then we can actually then start customizing the voice, because every brand we have, and I'm just thinking about our business, every brand we have has a different voice. Like we have certain brands that they eat up fear-based messaging. So anything that's fear-based, they're just like click, 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 open, 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 right? But then there's other brands, they don't want anything to do with fear-based.
Yeah.
They're like, whatever, dude. I know you're not fear, whatever. Like
this isn't a limited time offer.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's exactly it. Or it's just like well, there's people who have different income levels, and they think of things differently whenever they have certain income levels.
Sure.
And people who have not as much money per se think differently than people who have a lot of money.
Yeah.
And just those different mindsets, you have to personalize the content. But then how do we scale that? Like that's where I think we can use AI to help us scale in communicating to people with exactly kind of what they want based on who they are, and then kind of like their intentions that they're showing through their interactivity on their sites.
That's cool.
Yeah.
How much are you doing to manage or test on different designs? Copy obviously is important, right? Because that's what people are reading. But you and I both know that design can make a big difference too.
Sure can.
So how involved are you in that, and how much testing are you doing on stuff like that?
Yeah, so the team, they run a number of tests. So subject lines are very easy to test.
Sure.
Like that's one of the main ones we staple off of. But now we've gone through a series of different ways of testing the amount of content and the design and the layout of the content in the email. So, for example, we have a test that is about to launch. I think it'll launch, if not this week, it launches next week, where we take this idea of like fear or loss or kind of showing like inventory is moving. So we have a test email that they have the same image. Both emails have the same exact image, but one of them says something along the lines of sold out. Right, so it's like stamped on there, like sold out. This vacation property is sold out.
Yeah.
Right? But the other one doesn't show it as sold out, even though the inventory is sold out. Right, but it's just a different way. They'll click on it, they can find out how kind of it works. But we're trying to see what that does with the bottom of the email, and then how it drives engagement with the different offerings below. And so we're measuring to see like click-through rates, click-to-open rates, all of those different things. That's just an example of some of the design things we've done. We have some emails that we change the way we actually interact with people. So one of them, we ran through a test where we would have like big image, blurb of paragraph text below the big image, and then a button, right? So it's a very common layout, right?
Yep.
But then what we did is we said, well, what would happen if we, instead of having a button to go to the site, what if we just put a phone number in there? Because most, 60% of our email subscribers open on a mobile device.
Okay.
So then, like, what happens when we do that? Well, actually putting the phone number in there drove immediate calls, and we're charged with trying to drive inbound phone calls. And so, like, we saw huge benefits of just doing that one thing. And so now we have certain templates that we set up where that is a proven winner, where putting the phone number in there drives more clicks and calls at the exact same time. So that's just like some of the design things that we do that we've tested.
That's cool.
Yeah, we've seen some really good results with those.
Very cool. And are you guys incorporate? I mean, obviously you're sending emails and stuff. Do you drive people in most cases straight to a page? Is there video on that page? Is it just images and copy, or what's the?
Yeah. So the way our emails typically work is we actually drive into the store. So we have a cruise store, hotel store, flight store, right? All of those different stores. So it's almost like going into like a travel store. So like if you put in go to Expedia, for example, and you type in hotels in Honolulu, Hawaii, right? You'll see the results, and that's exactly what they see. So they click on that item in the email, and then it takes them to a display of those different options for, say, that destination or that product type. And that's kind of their experience. There's no video. There's no, at least on some things, there's not. But one of the things we do as well is
I think it'd be difficult with that many brands that you're managing to have a lot of video content.
It can be. We've actually thought of some pretty unique. Scalable ways to do that as well, which is really, really fascinating, because we kind of changed in the direction on this. But we have what we call a benefits page, right? So this benefits page is the page that we use to kind of explain the members' benefits, and they can see the benefits that they have and the benefits that they're missing out on. But the great thing is by brand, they can go through and click on like a learn more type of button, and it pops up a video customized for their brand, and that talks about their benefits, about this particular benefit. And through creative videography, we're able to then scale and set up like a template of those videos, and then swap out colors and all the stuff we need to do in different logos.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it took some work for sure, but it's huge, because it allows our members to get a preview of kind of like what this is, right? And then we track what they do. So when they're clicking and they're engaging, we know what's happening. So then we can then notify the sales team. We can also trigger marketing campaigns that go off of that particular content. So if they're looking at we have a benefit called Great Getaways. So this Great Getaways benefit is an upgraded benefit. But what it allows you to do is it allows you to get access to like all of these different like vacation rentals. Dirt cheap. I mean, like 7 days in the mountains for like $100.
Yeah.
Whole family.
Dirt cheap.
Yeah. But beautiful. Like not cheap, Motel 6,
but
cheap, but dirt
very
cheap.
affordable.
Yeah, very, very affordable. And it's because we have relationships with all these different vacation rental properties where they have inventory that's just not moving, right? So we help move that inventory for them. And that's just an example of like the benefits that we can see. So then when they click on Great Getaways, we know that they clicked on it, they engaged with that, and then we can trigger automation to follow up and educate them even further on the Great Getaways benefit, and then also notify the sales team to then potentially follow up with them and know that that is a thing that they were interested in during their purchasing journey.
So utilizing the data and stuff to both trigger information to go out as well as to make decisions on what else you're going to send is awesome. Yeah. But when it comes to enabling your sales team, how much information are you getting from your marketing automation that's then pushed into your CRM so that your sales team is armed with all the, all the best data or relevant data, right?
Yeah, we have a pretty complex business because what ends up happening is because we're a call center business, we don't have like a traditional like CRM system. So we don't have like Salesforce, for example. We do not use that. We have one that we've built from the ground up. And then we have call center software systems that have to interact with that CRM system. Okay. So it's kind of complex, but what ends up happening is
that's a lot of API calls to get to
what
the end user is using.
It can be, exactly. And so what we end up doing is we take that information and we actually put it into the call system. Okay. So it's different, right? So we can take that, like if they're searching for, like we have key resort relationships that we have whenever people are looking for these particular resorts, because we have a special relationship with them, or we'll tend to promote them better or more or whatever it may be, just due to the relationship we have. We'll actually put that into a call queue, and now we have an outbound team that will call those people, and they're calling people that are like for that resort all day long. Mm-hmm. And but they know exactly what they search for, what resort they're looking for, what price points they were looking at, and then when they did it too. Okay. And then they because some of them have resources.
So all the information they need, really.
Exactly. I mean, it gives them an educated conversation to where instead of just being like, "Hey, how's it going? I saw you visit our website." Yeah. It doesn't turn. It actually turns into more of like a conversation with that person. So it actually enables the sales team to be more effective to close those sales.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's a unique way of doing it, but that's one of the ways we leverage it.
And so is it going straight from Marketo into the call center software, or does it go through the CRM every time?
Not necessarily.
Just interested in how the connection lines up.
We use another tool called Telium, and Telium it's a pretty sophisticated tool, but basically it builds a profile of people on our site for us, and we can then take that profile of data and we can basically share it with any tool we want to. Okay. So we then take that Telium data and we share it with the call center system. And so then now the call center system has that information, and then they're able to get in that queue to then start calling them.
Very cool.
That's kind of the way it works.
Yeah. Awesome. So when changing gears a little bit, sure. When we were talking about everything that you built leading into 2020 and everything like that. So what was the obviously that helped get you guys through, right? Because that could have been bad otherwise. Yeah. What was the evolution of that project thereafter? So where did you take it from? You built, sounds like, some fairly sophisticated campaigns and stuff to drive engagement. And then what did 2021 and 2022 look like after?
Yeah. So after we got the system up and going to where the team could build basically one email for multiple brands,
which is huge,
we started looking at the business part. We looked at the company and we're like, okay, what products drive the most sales, right, in our company? And primarily our main driver of revenue is our membership model, and then the second behind that is cruises, right? So they drive the most. So then that's what we did, is we focused on those, but then we had to pivot because we realized that people stopped buying cruises, but they're buying hotels like crazy. Like people were doing local destination stuff. So they're driving and going. So we had to pivot off that. But one of the things we started with was, if we take our memberships and our members and what they're doing, how do we customize content we're delivering to them? So the first thing we did was we broke up basically the entire North American and South American continents into regions. Okay. And then that's when we started deciding, like, okay, based on the region that they're in, where their address is, start delivering content like local hotel destinations in their region.
Makes sense.
Exactly. And that was huge because we knew where the market was. We knew what people were doing. They weren't buying cruises, but they're shopping for hotels. and we knew where they lived. So then we were delivering emails relevant to their location. So they would see hot, popular destinations based on where they lived.
That's cool.
In that region. Yeah. So within driving distance.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
They can also hop on a quick flight.
Right.
So that's one of the things we focused on. Then we started developing around cruising port based emails. So a similar concept, but cruise ports only exist in certain areas in the United States, for example. And so we were able to then identify where those ports were and then where people lived near those ports. And then we were able to then set up the ability for the team to leverage those ports in the email content for their behaviors and what they were doing. And then one of the things that we ended up doing after that was how do we optimize the ability for our emails to become even more personalized. So that's when we started evolving the content delivery within those emails. So we had the infrastructure built based on regions and mappings and all that. So then we had to start building the infrastructure of actually taking building the content, placing the content in those emails.
Right.
And so it's a phased approach. I mean, you have to think about we broke up a lot of countries, a lot of regions, a lot of stuff to build. But we see a massive benefit now. And then one of the things that we started focusing on as well is looking at data and saying, okay, if somebody booked, I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but basically if somebody booked Alaska, their most likely next cruise destination would be the Mediterranean. So then we were we were able to take that information, what they just booked, and then start promoting those most likely destinations that they would more than likely book next.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Very smart. And obviously you're seeing success from that too, right? I mean,
definitely.
You're using data to make decisions and then creating campaigns and optimizing them, I assume.
We are.
But that's really cool. So what are you working on for 2023 then? As far as, you talk about the evolution here.
Yeah. So for 2023, the big thing, it depends on kind of what we're focusing on, because there's a number of directions we're going because we've quite a large team. But I'll stick more on the actual marketing side of it. So one of the things we're trying to evolve is taking it to where our website interactivity and the information that's being displayed and interacted with on the site is getting injected into emails.
That makes sense.
And so that, instead of it just being, Bahamas or cruise line or something along those lines, we actually can pull in full descriptions. We can pull in full destination information. We can even pull in maybe suggested pricing, right? These are the things that we're trying to figure out, how do we take that information based on what they're doing and really customize and personalize it in even further ways.
Right.
And then create backups to those systems in case they fail, right?
Sure.
That's the other side of it too. And then in addition to that, we're actually looking at how do we personalize the site itself.
Yeah.
So we have what we call a merchandising and personalization team, and then my team supports them with the technology side of it to make sure that they have the ability, they can do it. But if you take basically a matrix and you can break down each type of customer and then the level of that customer, and then on one page, just one page, and you can come up with roughly 20 different 50 buckets that person could potentially fall into based on a behavior, a membership level, time of year, right, time of day, and then you can put a special offer, say a pop-up. That's the easiest way to explain it. A pop-up right in front of them that's highly relevant for that person on the site. And so that's one of the things we're working on now is how do we scale that part?
Yeah.
Because the cool thing about a website is that when people visit your site, they can't unsubscribe.
Right.
Right? And because they can't unsubscribe, they can't click a spam button. There's nothing there to stop them. And they're on your site with purpose and intention. So we're how do we leverage that in a way to where we can start really honing in and personalizing the messaging that they're going to see? So that's another thing we're evolving into right now this year.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think that we're about where we need to be, or where we can get to on time. So
okay.
Jeremiah just said 50 minutes, so that's a little longer than I expected. But Yeah, so appreciate you coming on.
And thanks for having me.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
I don't need to hit anything. I always feel like I'm ending a phone call at the end of these things, you know?
Oh, it sounds